least the old R&B guys is it. This guy took it to like another level. Perfect break music. That's what I was thinking. Alright, stop it. Turn it off, please.
You ever get the feeling that everything in America is completely fucked up? You know that feeling that the whole country is like 1 inch away from saying, that's it, forget it. Let's see,
Now look, here's a house full of bees. You think the honey badger cares? It doesn't give a shit.
Let's get one thing straight.
Price is right.
Guns don't kill people. I do.
We're gonna be professional. I was just having a discussion with someone about, because I was wearing my Madonna shirt.
Yeah.
And they thought it was ironic. I was like, no, actually, I love Madonna.
Much like your Wham shirt.
Yeah.
You love Wham?
You know. Well, I like the, I guess this technically wouldn't be Wham, but also another contender for the break music is the guy that did the mashup of Angel of Death and Last Christmas.
Yes.
And they fit perfectly over each other. You should dig that up.
That's a good one.
It's pretty amazing.
Dude, Careless Whisper? That's Wham, right?
Yeah.
It's a great fucking song.
It's a banger.
Yeah.
It's
it was Josh Reddick's walkout music when
besides
he played for the A's.
yakety sax, I can't think of too many songs where the saxophone really gets to shine.
Baker Street.
Oh, Baker Street is legit a genius song. And then we did you and I do a dive on Jerry Rafferty, the guy who wrote Baker Street?
Not on the pod, but yeah, we've
several bangers.
Yeah.
A lot of good songs.
From Steelers Wheel.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Mm-hmm. Yes. But going back to Madonna, I know you love Madonna.
I love all of her phases. So the 80s pop all the way up to her techno phase, to her deep house phase. I like all the stuff.
Did you know this, that on a lot of her albums, she released like, for example, this one, Ray of Light. She released an album of single remixes remixed by a bunch of different DJs.
I love albums like this.
It's the whole album is one song, but there's 9 tracks on it.
Yeah, there's a lot of like Bjork playlists like that too. It's just the same song. It's everyone's different interpretation of it, which I was always
love
a
that.
geek. I used to write tons of electronic music, so I was always just a geek for that kind of stuff.
She did that with Like a Prayer. She did that with a bunch of her albums.
Like a Prayer is a good song.
You think that's her best song?
It's up there.
It's a good one.
It's pretty good.
I played it for Junior today, and I was like, how fucking good is this song, kid?
It's rocking.
Yeah.
Did you go to church this morning?
No, we were going to, but church
wait till I tell Sean about this.
Church was canceled for a volunteer day that honestly I would have liked to have participated in, but didn't know about it till the wife told me this morning.
It was probably one of the best days at church today.
Nice.
It was crazy. It was super packed. I was just telling Jake before he got here, it's a big church. There's probably several hundred people for every sermon, which is like 3 or 4 a day.
Yeah.
And they have the big roll-up doors. So this time of year, they have the rolled-up doors. It's so serene and peaceful.
Nice.
Like warm air blowing through there. You can hear like birds. And then the band, which has like kind of a revolving door of members, is always really good. Mm-hmm. And there's a few people that just, everyone's amazing, but a few people are like, why is this person not famous? And there's this one girl, she's got to be 17, 18, this cute little girl, and just has the most like a freight train of a voice, like like power and soul behind it, and just like this richness. And
she's that like growl thing, like,
like a like Southern Baptist choir.
How is that sound coming out of that person?
And so she walks on stage. I'm like, oh, she's awesome. Like, this will be fun. And for some reason, everyone started singing. So several hundred people were just like belting it out.
Yeah.
And there's this chunky dude with no teeth behind me that was like one of the best singers I've ever heard, like hitting harmonies that weren't in the song. I was like, dude, like, who is this guy?
Making little whistle sounds that like only like African tribes can actually do unless you have no teeth. And so like right off the bat, like it starts, I was like, this is like one of those special days. Sermon was a little anticlimactic, but we have like a guest pastors that kind of come through. Right.
Pastor Brett is our main pastor, and I'm always a little bummed when he doesn't walk out because he's like my favorite, and he's like legit.
It's the worst.
Yeah,
I hate that.
But all the guest pastors are good, but I'm just like,
not as good as the main guy.
Pastor Brett. Pastor
He walks out. Boo! We want Pastor Brett.
Slayer. It's like Pastor Brett. And so the pastor comes out and he starts talking. This guy I don't know if there's a such thing as polite Tourettes, but this guy goes, your shoes, I love your shoes. And it's like, wow. And no one turns their head except for me. I'm like, am I having a stroke? Like, did I just hear that? And then someone else comes out. They're bringing out like some from the Redwood Gospel Mission. It's like, I love your jacket. It's the same guy. I'm like,
that's Tourette's.
And I look at my wife and I go like, hey, like, you heard that, right? And she gives me the kind of hand motion, like he's got something going on.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, which I'm like, okay, that makes way more sense. Okay.
I will allow that. It drives me fucking crazy when people talk during sermons in church.
Yeah.
But if you have Tourette's.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
And I got to say, the church, there's a lot of security there because they got a bunch of death threats and bomb threats because they didn't shut down for COVID. And I got to say, the church handled this like a boss. A security guard came, sat behind this guy for the rest of the service
with like a stun gun, a cattle prod,
picture of his kids. Like, shut up.
Yeah, you gonna say it again?
And anytime there was a break and pastor saying something, he just like would call me, like tap him on the shoulder. I was like rubbing his shoulder a little bit and I like calm this guy down. I was like, dude, like that's how you handle that situation.
Totally.
It was awesome.
We should do that for the homeless in Santa Rosa. We just have someone that stands behind them and pats them on the shoulder, calm them down.
Right. Every time they want to steal a bike or something.
Yes, exactly. Assault an old lady.
Dude, that Think shirt has got some legs, that picture.
I didn't write it down. I'm so glad you brought that up. I can't stop thinking about it.
What was that? I saw you guys just going back and forth about it, but I must miss the context.
Well, since we don't have any video and I can't show the world this beautiful picture, I'll describe it. I was at Tractor Supply the other day buying some chicks, and there was
we call them women. Just
well, I wasn't buying women. I was talking baby chickens.
It's always pimping with you. It's gonna come back to that.
Well, technically, the pimps don't actually own the women.
More like leasing them per se.
In a free market society, they would be under contract. And, so this dude,
the autistic pimp, that would be your hip hop name.
This dude, hold on, Gertrude's calling. Hey, babe.
Hi. Hey, are we, am I leaving when we leave at like 2 or a little bit before 2? Are we leaving the dog in the house, door closed, or?
Yeah, let's leave the dog in the house.
Okay. You shouldn't be too far behind us, right?
Nah.
Okay.
All right, thanks for the call.
Hey, Mills.
Bye. Okay, bye.
You mean Gertrude?
we'll bleep that out.
It's all right. Only the first time I dropped her name. So this guy is wearing a mask in Tractor Supply, which already, granted, we're in Sonoma County and it's very liberal up here, and the mask is the MAGA hat of the left. Mm-hmm. So you do see masks, although fewer and fewer, I would say. right? Mm-hmm. They could come out tomorrow and say, AIDS was on the rise in Sonoma County, and all of a sudden you'd see people wearing masks. I mean, no, literally, they would do that. There's no logic to it, so they would just do that, right? But there haven't been any announcements like that on the radio, so you don't see as many masks. But this guy's wearing a mask, and he also had a long braided rat tail, and he was wearing a T-shirt that was kind of like the Obama poster T-shirts that would say "Hope,"
right?
But it was a picture of Benjamin Franklin, and it said "Think" underneath.
These people are irony proof. I love it.
I'm just like, I can't stop thinking about this guy's display, his virtue signaling to the world. He's saying, I'm wearing a mask because I'm a thinker. Mm-hmm. And I think for myself. I'm like Benjamin Franklin, who thought of, some of the most beautiful ideas that the world has ever known. One of them being that you should wear a mask.
IQ of 183.
For no good reason. Yes, thank you.
Allegedly.
And it's just the most, it's so ironic that I was forced to take a photo of it because I just couldn't believe my eyes that I was watching this guy wear a mask and a shirt that said "Think," as if anyone that
you had to take the picture because the picture is perfect. And if you were to describe it to me, I mean, it would have been good enough. I was like, but his whole thing, the pot belly, the rat tail, the glazed 7-booster stare behind the glasses, like everything was so, it looked like it was staged almost. It was so amazing.
I mean, most people that you tell this to wouldn't think it was real.
Yeah.
If you wrote it in a story, in a movie or something, it would just be like, all right, that's a little, we know those people are out there, but that's a bit over the top, right?
As we say, if that was in a movie, I'm like, a little on the nose.
This guy was just walking around like that. It just made me want to, if he was one of us and was just kind of fucking with people, that would actually make more sense.
Oh, it would have been hilarious.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I see what you're doing.
Yeah, you got the whole Andy Kaufman thing going on there.
Yes, that makes sense.
Genius.
I should have had the balls to talk to him.
We just ran to the store right before you got here, and there was a guy in the store wearing an actual respirator, like the kind painters wear.
Really?
Yeah. And I was waiting for Jake outside the store, and I was like, which kind of made me think.
I have a theory.
I'm always intrigued because I was like, I want to, and he was with looked like to be his elderly mom who was not wearing a mask.
Right.
And my first inclination, I was like, I just want to have a conversation with this guy. And remember how we said 2 years ago, in this perverse way, our wish came to fruition? We said, this was 2 years ago. We said, look, if you're still wearing a mask, you got to commit for life at this point. I want to see you wearing it for the rest of your life. If you're wearing
a mask on the soccer field outdoors, then that's it. You've committed to wearing that for the rest of your life. Here's a theory.
My son, your wish has been granted.
Maybe the guy has really bad allergies.
No.
It is allergy season.
There's no such thing as allergy season.
Really?
PSYOP.
Care to expand on that? I mean, I'm not with you on that one. There's definitely allergy season.
I don't think someone's wearing a mask because of allergies.
I've done it.
Well, really?
Mm-hmm. Because I used to go to this doctor, Dr. Cindy Zaffis, who used not acupressure to cure you of allergies.
I think Hugo goes to that person.
Well, she cured me of many of my allergies.
Really?
And after my treatment, she said you have to stay indoors, air-conditioned space. If you go outside, you should wear a respirator or something because...
Interesting.
Yeah, you want to... After you do this treatment, you have to be free from any sort of pollen or anything. And
for how long?
I don't know, 6 hours or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's...
Yeah, for the rest of your life. Yeah. And especially on the soccer field. Did you know that... did you have more to say on that?
No, go for it.
Did you know that that Jews are... Okay, so let's talk about the Jews. So what's something that's maybe the conspiracy... The general conspiracy theory about the Jews? There's a lot of, the tunnels but what's the one thing that the vast majority of conspiracy people,
They run everything because they're the chosen people.
Okay, exactly. Well, here's a clip of this obvious anti-Semite named Norm Coleman, former senator, speaking at the some sort of Jerusalem summit, or two Jews from the Jews for the Jews.
A majority of Gen Z have an unfavorable impression of Israel. And my friends, I think the reason for that is that we're losing the digital war. Okay, they're getting their information from TikTok and X, whatever it is, and we're losing that war. When you think about it, the masters of the universe are Jews. You know, we've got Altman and AI, we've got Zuckerberg, we've got Sergey Brin, we've got a group across the board, Jan Combs, founded WhatsApp. It's us. And we have to figure out a way to win the digital battle. Amelia, we got to get our digital sneakers on so that the truth can prevail over the lies. And when we do that, the future of Israel will be stronger because a majority of all Americans will support Israel. We'll make that happen. We have to make it happen. Thank you. Baruch Hashem. Thank you. When you think about it, the masters of the universe are Jews.
So we have to, when people realize that, the majority of Americans are going to support us because the masters of the universe are Jews. I mean, think about it. Get your sneakers on. Get your digital sneakers on, Grandpa.
That was a creepy little clip there.
Who can be called out for saying that from now on? Yeah. This has been said in public at this Jewish summit that the masters of the universe are Jews. We have Zuckerberg. We have all the smart people. We got to just force people to understand this. And then then everyone will, the vast majority of Americans will come to accept that the masters of the universe are Jews.
Yeah, that could have been worded a little more subtly to get that message across.
It's great what he's saying too,
but I always enjoy it. I'm like, just thanks for saying it.
Who's that guy?
Former Senator Norm Coleman. He's basically calling for censorship, right? And he's not even saying the quiet part out loud. He's saying the never say this out loud part out loud.
Yeah.
Right. And then following that up with, we need to control information. We need to force people. We need to force behavior. Where's that button?
It's just, you have to force behaviors.
Thank you, Mr. Fink.
So they're losing the digital war, and they're going to go on a marketing campaign.
And
that's a polite way to put it.
The first step of winning that war would be
censorship,
putting on your digital sneakers.
Oh, of course. And then you get to the censorship. Right.
That's pretty creepy.
What do you think that looks like?
I think
digital sneakers.
Blocky. Yeah.
So I think what Christian conservatives are the families that by and large support Israel the most in the United States. Would you think?
By the numbers, yeah. I mean, they outnumber the Jews. So I would say the biggest supporter of Zionism would be Christian fundamentalists.
Yes. So they're saying that they're losing that base is maybe eroding. So they got to figure out a way to get to the kids so that they create another generation of, whether they're Christian conservatives or not, folks who believe very strongly that the United States should be supporting Israel.
Exactly. The kids are getting all their information from TikTok, which shouldn't be surprising that the one social media platform that they actually wrote legislation to ban was TikTok. Because TikTok was getting kind of uppity, showing all of the genocide that's happening in Gaza. Right. And he's not just talking about TikTok, but you mentioned Zuckerberg, like all of these alternative media spaces where people are actually getting information instead of just getting their information from the speaker box that's just blasting you with their propaganda.
Right.
We have to take control of this digital sphere and force people to come back to the masters of the universe.
That's how Ian Carroll kind of cracked the TikTok censorship nut. He goes, I'd put the most insane stuff out there, like purposely like outlandish, and like you'd have to be kind of a little bit crazy to think about this. and I do the most. And I was trying to figure out why he was trying to figure out why he was getting demonetized. He goes, all of a sudden I'm making, $12,000 a month on my channel. And then all of a sudden nothing. I'm getting strikes and they're going to kick me off. And he's like, I had to figure out like what the algorithm was actually looking for to just like automatically censor certain posts I did. And I did the most insane stuff ever, like really, really out there, misinformation. And then I do this, then I put the most kind of benign middle of the road story about Israel on there, kicked off. He goes, I figured out like, oh, that's the Israel's the hot button. That's why I'm getting kicked off this platform.
I could have saved him the trouble, I think, of actually running that experiment.
I wish you guys would have seen it. I do. So we have, what's it called? The Courthouse Square downtown?
Yeah.
And every Saturday they've had a protest, some kind of protest. I drove by it yesterday and it was the saddest thing I've ever seen.
Because the numbers were down?
There was like 8 people there.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah, that is kind of sad. I almost feel bad for them.
And I drove by, I was with my son in the truck and got the windows down. Sun's out, like we just left the gym. We're going to lunch. It's kind of our Saturday tradition.
Blasting Cat Scratch Fever.
Yes. Beer between my legs, kid rolling around in the back of my truck. And it looks like that some of these guys, I'm at this stoplight and this guy's holding up the sign and my son goes, what are these people doing? I was like, well, they're protesting. He goes, what are they protesting? I'm like, I don't know. I was like reading the signs. I'm like, just kind of a little bit of everything. Looks like some immigration I see, something about tariffs, something about impeaching and convicting and someone's a felon. I don't know, just like kind of everything. And as I'm looking, and on this one particular corner, there was 3 people. Right. And this guy, it looks like if you told a sketch artist, like, draw me a miserable white liberal, like it would have been this guy.
Did he have a long rat tail?
No rat tail. Mask. Holding this sign as if it was like a little too heavy. So he was like kind of, his like arms were kind of bent. And I'm stopped at the stoplight because people, here in Northern California are driving by honking, giving them the thumbs up. And he's just like staring right at me. I have no idea why, like maybe because I didn't honk or whatever. And I'm just kind of like enjoying the moment a little bit. And it just made me thinking like, I want you guys to answer this for me. Like, why is it that I can I'm fascinated by this thing in my brain that I've been noticing. And we've talked about this before, but it's like, why is it that I can with a frightening degree of accuracy, look at this guy and go like, I know he's had all his boosters. He takes the flu shot every year. Probably has a cat. I know where he stands on Ukraine. If you asked him who blew up the Nord Stream pipeline, he'd say
Putin.
He'd tell me that Jeffrey Epstein definitely killed himself. If I asked him how many towers fell on 9/11, he'd say 2. And wrong. And I'm just like looking at that guy like, why?
That would be the way to start the conversation with him, by the way.
Yes. Within 3 guesses, I could probably guess what he drove. Him and his wife probably had a long conversation about buying a Tesla 5 years ago. And now he's thanking God that he didn't. And
dodge that bullet.
Yeah. And I just look at it, I was like, why do I know? Why do I have all this information on this guy? Just by looking, and he's like scowling. He's got this bottom lip. He's like pouting, like his bottom lip sticking out. And he's like,
when people talk about the left eating their own, is there any better example of that than the Tesla outrage?
Yeah. Yes.
Vandalizing people's Teslas.
As we say, no better time than to be able to drive around with a swastika on
like
your
the
car.
French Revolution. Like all of these people that were super obedient lefties now are being having their shit vandalized.
You know what's kind of as while I'm stopped at the stoplight, I was like, the only thing that there might be some gray area on if I brought up Israel. He goes, well, it was he's probably like, as a bootlicking status, I know I'm supposed to support Israel. He's like, but then again, Gaza's all brown people. Like, fuck, it's and so then they have that default switch of like, oh, whatever Trump says, it's the opposite of that. I'm like, yeah, Trump is in the same boat. He wants to stop people from dying, yet we keep sending money to Israel so they can keep going with their genocide. I was like, you guys are kind of in the same boat there. But why, do you guys ever ask yourself that? Like, why is it I can look at someone and go like, I kind of got this guy figured out at this point?
Yeah, that's been the something that I've been noticing for 10 years probably. Mm-hmm. Definitely since COVID. Like, actually, yeah, just since COVID. Like, it all of a sudden clicked. Like, oh.
Yeah. Pretty quickly in the beginning of COVID, I'm like, I can kind of...
They just follow a script.
Right.
It happens on the right, too.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like,
absolutely.
Someone with a MAGA hat on knows for a fact that tariffs are good economic policy and that we obviously have to support Israel's war in Gaza. And what's the MAGA take on the Ukraine war? Well, we should definitely end the war, but it would be a good idea for us to get the $1 trillion in minerals out of the ground. Like there's no like conflict in your head there. Like
there is no
fucking minerals.
There is no left and right.
It's all fucking fake, dude.
And it's funny because I just like the guy wearing the respirator in the store today. It's like I want to like this dude's just sitting there like scowling at me. And I was like, I want to just get out of my truck and have a conversation. Because I could tell him, I was like, look, I think he had like an anti-Trump thing, something like impeach, convict, something like that. And I could tell a guy, I was like, I get it. Like, Trump sucks. Like, Jake, you always say, what you're saying, nothing ever happens. It's like, Trump's going to stop the war in Gaza? Nope. He's going to stop printing money? Nope. He's going to stop sending money to Ukraine? Nope. He's going to audit Fort Knox? Nope. He's going to release the MLK files? Nope. The JFK files? Like, nope. The Epstein files? Nope. Like, the guy shit the bed left and right. He's bombing Gaza again.
He's deporting. God, I didn't even really want to go here, but I was having dinner with my aunt the other night, and she was talking about this Mexican friend of hers that was going to come up and do some sort of like program up here or try to, I don't know if he was going to try to get a green card or it wasn't that. It was something around coffee, I think. And he was going to come up here and work. And she's like, I don't even know if, I want him to come up now. I'm like,
I could probably tell you the sentence.
He might get deported. And I was like, he was doing something legal, right? Because you can't be, she was scared that he was going to be deported even though he wasn't here illegally. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to kind of push back a little bit, but I couldn't. I was like, fuck, like, what do you really say?
Yeah.
I mean, the Trump administration has deported people for speaking their minds, people that were here legally. Mm-hmm. They've also, which is totally antithetical to our value of free speech.
I don't want to make a theme here, but like, what were they speaking out against?
Let me see. Let me check through my papers here. It was Israel.
Oh, shocking.
And they deported. I had the notes here. I wasn't going to get into it, so I don't think I have it written down. But they deported the guy who they admitted was a mistake. Mm-hmm. They sent him to El Salvador, and they should not have sent him. And they actually admitted that it was a mistake. And he may or may not have had some ties to Tren de Agua or some Mexican cartel or something. But you made a fucking mistake, and you admitted it, and then you said, well, there's nothing we can do. We can't bring him back. It's like, so if they deport me, like, they're just going to say, well, it was a mistake, but there's nothing we can do. We can't get him back. Like,
let's try that at work tomorrow.
I wanted to argue with my aunt, but I couldn't, like, really justify. I was like, I kind of had to be like, you're right. I mean, who fucking knows what he's doing? And when he was running for president, remember all the stories about what was that? The Gap, the Darien Gap,
right?
And Chinese nationals coming into the country, and all sorts of people just flooding into the country, and all of us were like, "Yeah, get those people the fuck out of here." Mm-hmm. I'm totally in support of mass deportations, but you cannot deport people that haven't committed a crime, mm-hmm. even if that crime is coming across the border illegally. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm okay with that, but you can't just make mistakes, and you also can't send people to Guantanamo, which is what they were doing. basically, in the Guantanamo, El Salvador.
Right.
And so all of us that were kind of in support of this idea of deporting the illegals are kind of like, did you have to do it that way? Like, I don't know if I really support that anymore. Like, there's so many good candidates.
Yeah.
Did you see the picture that he held up of they were saying why they had to deport that one guy and he had the MS-13
that's an interesting topic.
on his hands? Like a clearly doctored photograph, right? It had like typewriter font.
Well, when I first saw that, I'm like, that if you gave me Photoshop, this is probably what I would.
I don't think it was that.
Well, hold on. Let me just finish this, and then I want you to speak on this, Jake. But the reason that he had to hold that photograph up was because he was saying this is the evidence. And in our country, we don't do things that way. We have courts that establish whether someone's guilty or not. You don't just, the king doesn't just hold up a photograph of his hands and say, see? And then everyone goes, oh, okay, well, I didn't realize that we actually tried and convicted him. Well, then, yeah, by all means, go ahead. But
Jake,
go ahead.
Counterpoint.
I think it's just from watching the media and the way it functions so much, like with, gaslighting and stuff like this. The guy has tattoos on his knuckles. One is a marijuana leaf, one is a smiley face, one is a cross, and the other is a skull. So there's a small tattoo on each of these 4 fingers. I just ran through them, and they're saying that this is gang symbology to represent somebody that's in MS-13. Somebody, in an effort to help explain what each little icon meant, photoshopped, if you will, the letter or numeral above each symbol as to what its actual meaning is. And now it's being passed around saying, like, this is clearly a doctored photograph. It's just both sides are saying different things, and neither of them are actually being genuine about what's actually happening with that photograph. Trump doesn't even know. Trump's a probably like 80-year-old man who's like, wasn't given any of the context to the photo, and he thinks that actually is a MS-13 on this guy's knuckles. And somewhere there's a guy that made it shaking his head going, God, why doesn't anybody just ask me what the fuck is going on? So
were the letters that were typed on there not alleged to be his tattoos? Were they just indicating what each symbol meant?
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not an attempt at...
Okay, because I'm like, this is clearly not a tattoo.
Well, yeah. And
we should really start researching stuff.
But going back to my previous point, like the president holding up a photograph is not the same thing as you going to a court of law. And I'm not saying that you have to have a trial for every single person that's here illegally, but the standards that they set up leave these gaping holes in them that things are just being determined without any sort of due process. And if you're here illegally, I'm sorry, but you do have to go. Although I don't think that we should be starting with people that are not violent. You can't just go around and deport nannies. That's not what people were expecting. People were expecting the gangs that were taking over the apartment buildings in Colorado to be deported, not people's barbers. Mm-hmm. And so the reason that this is so like hard for me to get behind is that we were sold one thing, and now we're just getting what seems like a just lazy kind of unjust like system of just like throwing people out of the country and into these private prisons in a foreign country. It's like what do they call it? Black, like the black sites that we had around
Black Ops,
the Middle East, where we just put people in these like prisons. Like, no, you just send them back to their country. And if the country doesn't accept them, then you'd send the Navy down there and you dock on their port and you say, just kick the people off the boat. And if you try anything, we'll fight you. But I don't know. It's just hard. You know, I wanted to be able to argue with my aunt on this and I couldn't. I was just like, fuck. I mean, she's not totally wrong.
But as bad as things are.
It's kind of dark in here, but I'm asking show of hands. Who saw that video from a couple of weeks ago? The one of the elephants at the San Diego Zoo during the earthquake?
This is good.
Google it if you've not seen it. So that scene has been on my mind. Everybody's asking me what you've been thinking about these days. Well,
yeah, everyone.
servants were. And as soon as they felt the earth shaking beneath their feet,
Here come the head nods.
they got in a circle and stood next to each other to protect the most vulnerable.
I'm not getting the analogy.
Because we know those who try to incite fear are most effective when they
Obama hand points.
divide and conquer, when they separate the herd, when they try to make everyone think they are alone. But in the face of crisis, the lesson is don't scatter. The instinct has to be to immediately find and connect with each other, and to know that the circle will be strong.
Oh, did we dodge a fucking bullet?
Not really.
We got to get the video going. For those of you that we just had some
No, you can't describe it.
genius redneck ASL going on during that entire speech.
Oh my God. I kind of love her. Hey, there's a chance she'll be governor.
Governor of California.
Yep.
Yeah.
It'll be just.
I'm already getting polls on my text threads.
Really?
One a day, yeah.
Is she the leading candidate?
No, they're just kind of asking me where I stand on various issues. And
Oh, I've gotten a few of those.
yeah.
God, California, get it together. It is just ridiculous how they have raped and pillaged this state.
Oh, yeah.
And just completely driven it into the ground and intentionally and with no remorse. Every time that you ask Governor Hairgel about it, he just says, yeah, no, I know. It's really bad out there. It's like,
I mean, what are we doing here?
Right.
No, Dick, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
That's true because it's true.
No, that's a good point.
Mm-hmm. When you think of it like that.
Profound.
Have you, dude, the debate with Douglas Murray and Dave Smith.
The thing about Kamala Harris, just to kind of put a period on the end of the sentence, is that Trump is shitting the bed left and right on pretty much everything, I think. And I get so tired of these.
What about Doge?
Doge is awesome. But how much did they really spend?
They cut
or save?
I want to say $250 billion, while Trump raised the defense budget to $1 trillion.
Yes, as we had said before, like they marginally scratch. They didn't financially. It's nothing.
They
it's
took
like
all of the
real benefit of it is that like it just gave people the awareness of like this is USAID. Like look into it. This
the
is
only
like
benefit.
This is like where the money.
Meanwhile, they took the USAID budget and just gave it to the Pentagon.
Right.
Like, let's just cut out the middleman here. No more, having to hide it and do all these obscure NGOs to another NGO. And I'm just going to give the money to the Pentagon. You guys just do what you want with it. Don't worry about accounting for it, by the way.
And that gets it back into that. Was it the FASF or whatever it is that the Pentagon is legally allowed to have two separate sets of books?
Is that FASTABs?
Yeah. FASTABs 56 or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty wild. You see that graph of the amount of money that goes to Ukraine and then the amount of money and who it goes to that Ukraine gives to U.S. people in Congress?
No.
It's like, well, this is how that works. It's like, why are we giving them, what are we, 250 billion, something like that we know of?
Right.
And that money goes back. It's the perfect example of just this ridiculous, corrupt cycle of how this money works.
Did you watch the Catherine
sequel to Short Circuit?
Did Short Circuit 2?
Short Circuit 2.
Worst movie ever made.
The worst?
Yeah.
Jake, worst movie ever made?
The Room. It's a movie called The Room. And
is that German guy? Where
it might be.
Yeah, and everything's overdubbed.
I think so. Yeah, this
Ethan
guy,
Hawke in that.
What?
Yeah, that's it. That's the worst movie ever.
Famously referred to as the worst movie ever. I'm still working my way through it.
Troll 2, I think, is often mentioned.
No one says the Leprechaun.
Leprechaun, solid contender. I've never seen Jason versus Freddy in space. I think they did I think that's a thing.
Look, hear me out. I know we've done Jason versus Freddy, and that's well-worn territory, but we haven't done it
in space.
Space. No, did you watch the Catherine Austin Fitz on Tucker?
Yes.
So she said something in that interview that I thought was really profound.
Jason versus Katy Perry in space.
Oh, shit.
Blue Origin 2.
It's got to be a short movie.
Yes. Perhaps the most complex mission ever accomplished.
Ah, shit.
Listen, you can't just put whatever you want on the soundboard.
Yes, I can. I'm the only one that knows how to use it. Should we just call it?
No, okay. Go ahead. Catherine Austin Fitz.
She made a statement about how the people in government in the 1990s, Jake, what was the national debt in like 1992?
Stand by.
That in the 90s, they basically gave up on the idea of America.
In 1992, the U.S. national debt was approximately $4.065 trillion.
Wow. So it's 9 times that now?
Yeah.
And at this point, they just realized, like, what we've done is just, we've gone too far, and there's no chance we're ever going to, like, get the debt under control.
Yeah.
We're never going to get government spending under control. We're never going to be able to convince the military industrial complex or the pharmaceutical industries or all of these special interest groups to stop fucking America. And so instead of actually trying, we basically just given up. What we're going to do now is just milk the American people for everything they're worth, and the world, because they have to kind of follow what America does. And I just thought, like, God, that's like such a dark realization to make, but it makes a lot of sense. Like, there was a point in time where the public servants, air quotes, were actually attempting to do what was right for the American people. At least they believed that, or they told themselves that. And then it switched. And I mean, there's maybe 2 members of Congress out of the 500 people that are in Congress that you could put in the category of actually wanting to do that.
That are even talking about it.
Yeah. Thomas Massey, Rand Paul. I can't think of any others. They will they still use the language of being public servants and wanting to do what's right for America and protect our borders and blah, 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 blah. They do all that shit, but it's none of them, when it comes time to vote on something, none of them have the balls to stand up against that because they don't really care. They've given up.
Yeah. And then when Thomas Massey comes out and does speak about it, Trump supports a primary against him.
Everyone comes down on
replace him with sweet Lindsey Graham,
right?
Who would order a fucking drone strike if you guys didn't order wrong.
Yes,
like the epitome of a neocon chicken hawk.
The guy that insists we must go to war with Israel,
with everybody.
I was going to bring this up later, actually, but I have a clip from him that is very telling.
What to do and when to do it. If you want to negotiate, you better put Iran on a clock or it will never end. If you want to negotiate, you need to have an outcome that will secure the goal of making sure they never have a nuke. That's the Libyan model. I think the chance of successfully negotiating Iran...
What happened to...
Not gay?
What? Not according to him. What happened to? What does he mean there when he says the Libyan model?
As far as having a nuke,
yeah,
it's that we need to prevent them from having a nuke, so the form of a mushroom cloud doesn't come, or the form of a smoking gun doesn't come in the form of the mushroom cloud. Same thing, same model that we had with Iraq.
Well, what they
That's
did
from Condoleezza Rice.
But what they did with Libya was they negotiated. They brought Gaddafi to the table and said, "Look, if you don't get rid of that nuke, we're going to invade and attack you, and just take away your power." And he said, "All right, fine. I'll get rid of my nukes. Then I could be part of the the regional coalition and be at a seat at the table." And so he got rid of his nukes, the one thing that was actually keeping us from invading. And what did? We fucking invaded
him with a knife up his ass.
Yeah, he got anally sodomized to death. I guess that's redundant. But so what he's saying right there is like, let's just go with the Libya model. And the Iranians aren't stupid.
That's not redundant.
Anally sodomized?
Oh, yeah. Gotcha.
Okay. You just wanted me to say anally sodomized again, didn't you? Bastard.
One more time, I'm trying to work through this.
Iran understands what happened there. A lot of people think that the reason that Iran is now saying that they're agreeing, like, yeah, we're close to having a nuke. They aren't, but they're saying that so that they can actually threaten us a little bit because they know what happened to Gaddafi,
right?
And Libya, which is probably the worst country in the world right now.
Out of their nuclear ambitions is about like me being in the NBA. It's possible, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Not possible.
So, I am urging the Trump administration, if you try negotiations, put them on the clock and make sure you tell them up front what an acceptable outcome would look like. If that doesn't work, if you want to do that, then you need to quickly pivot and give Israel the capability they're lacking, which is not much, to deliver a decisive blow to the Iran nuclear program. One Holocaust is enough.
He has my favorite pronunciation of Israel.
Why can I want to get back to what Catherine Fitz was saying, but why can Iran not have a nuclear weapon? Like, what would he say? Like, why is it that Iran can't have a nuclear weapon?
What would Lindsey Graham say?
He said that if the Trump administration wants to go the route of negotiation, then you better give them a timeline and let's follow the Libya model. But if not, you need to attack Iran and take out their capability for nuclear weapons.
They don't want to have a nuclear weapon because that'll threaten our stronghold in the Middle East, which is Israel. And Israel is saying, like, absolutely not.
No, what would they say, though? Is that what Lindsey Graham would say? Is that what these conservatives
what would they say?
Would say? Yeah.
Oh, because then they're going to be a threat to the United States and everyone would be scared and they're going to nuke the U.S.
Even though they wouldn't have the capability of nuking the U.S.?
No.
Do you know that...
Just as Libya didn't.
You know that Israel has nuclear weapons, but they're technically... It's illegal. Like, they were not allowed to have a nuclear weapon.
Right.
And the U.S. government never even...
That's one of the best memes is the sign goes off the Charlie Kirk campus protests, the Prove Me Wrong ones. Mm-hmm. It's a picture of JFK riding downtown Dallas with a sign that says, Israel shouldn't have nuclear weapons. Prove me wrong.
Right.
It's like right before he got shot.
I was just going to say, like, has Iran ever attacked the United States? No. Has Israel ever attacked the United States?
USS Liberty.
Yep.
Exactly. So why is it that Israel is allowed to have nuclear weapons and Iran is not?
Because there's
the two countries, one of them has actually attacked us, the other one never has, and frankly wouldn't be able to. It's not like they're going to have nuclear weapons that are capable of flying all the way around the world. We're talking about basic shit here.
Right.
It makes no logical sense when you actually look at that. The only thing that you can logically put together in your head is that, well, if they have nukes, then they would obviously use them against Israel.
Just like Saddam Hussein was going to do, just like Gaddafi was going to do, and list them out, name them.
Naim, where's that?
False binary that has always been created around the Middle East.
Ben Shapiro.
Is that if you hit a target in the Middle East, full-scale war erupts, and thousands and millions die, full-scale invasion of Iran. Barack Obama used to say the same crap, and it isn't true. How do I know it's not true? Because literally, Donald Trump did it in his first term. He took out Qasem Soleimani, who's the head of the IRGC's terror mechanism, and nothing happened. That is what happened. Nothing. And this idea that a strike on the Iranian nuclear facilities would result in what? Iran attacking Hawaii? Widespread war? Nope. But again, these false binaries that Tucker likes to posit effectively act as cover for the Iranian regime. Because again, if the idea is that you have to let Iran go nuclear rather than striking their nuclear facilities, thus endangering extraordinary elements of importance to the American national security apparatus, ranging again from Saudi and UAE to Israel, the Suez Canal, the Red Sea, and all the rest, the Straits of Hormuz. If that's the idea, well, you may as well just surrender the Middle East to the Iranians now, which of course, I don't know what Tucker's feelings are on that. He was interviewing the Emir of Qatar. Qatar is essentially a cutout front for the Iranian regime. And he's treating them with great care, shall we say. President Trump obviously does not follow that same belief system. Neither does the rest of the administration. Thank God.
It is obviously more dangerous for Israel to have nuclear weapons than Iran. Israel has actually attacked us. Israel is taking land from Syria. They have plans on invading every country in the Middle East. They got us to invade Iraq. It is way more dangerous in my opinion, for Israel.
Not just Iraq. If you go back to the Clean Break document, and then which morphed into the Project for a New American Century, the Rebuilding America's Defenses, you look at the countries we attacked. You look at the countries. Do we go through what the Clean Break document meant?
Yeah.
It meant a clean break from the peace process in the Middle East with Israel and all the surrounding countries. Like, we're not going to even try anymore. We're going to do, instead of trying to be downright neighborly with all these, we're just going to bomb them into submission. And from that point on, after that document was written, going all the way up to the Project for a New American Century, it looks, if the conspiracy theory could be like Israel just points at a different country and the U.S. fucking bombs the shit out of it. I'm like, okay, we don't know if that's actually what happened, although it's kind of laid out in these documents. But if that is what they did, nothing would have changed. Everything, and Iran is the last one left on that list.
And he's trying to make the argument that we can bomb Iran and nothing's going to happen. It's fine. We'll just attack their nuclear facilities and then go back to life as usual, as if Iran's going to just stand around going, oh, well, I guess we don't have nuclear capabilities anymore. Like that's ever worked in any country that we've attacked. Like every country that we've attacked has just been this clean, easy job. We just go in, we attack them, and we're good. It doesn't get us involved in these forever wars. He's so wrong about this. Every time we get involved in these attacking other countries, it ends up in the worst possible thing for the United States of America.
It's also important to note that Iran is a highly sophisticated and developed country.
And bigger than all the other countries in the area combined.
Okay, we invaded Afghanistan, spent over $1 trillion, 20 years there, and gave the country back to the Taliban. That they are not
armed them.
They were not, and we left something like $800 billion of hardware behind. So now they have our weapons and they're fucking pissed at this point. And Afghanistan is no Iran.
No.
Development wise.
And the argument that,
because I've heard people say that it's just another country in the Middle East. I'm like, well, we essentially lost a war to a bunch of fucking goat farmers living in caves in Afghanistan. Like and we didn't win that war. Like, you think we're going to win the one against Iran?
I like pushing back on people that say that the reason we need to attack Iran is because they hate Jews. They are hell-bent on just destroying the Jewish race. When they actually have the second largest population of Jews in their country next to Israel in the Middle East.
Israel.
And the Jews that live in Iran are not being murdered.
Mm-hmm.
And they're probably not comfortable. They don't like the escalating conflict between Israel and Iran, but they've lived there in peace for a long time. So he's wrong.
Ben Shapiro is a deranged Zionist.
Okay, back to Catherine Austin Fitz. Oh, yeah. That statement she made about everyone giving up on the United States, it was dark, but it made a lot of sense. Later in that interview, she said that she was an optimist, which I think you and I talked about that.
Yeah.
It was very kind of, I feel the same way.
Well, what she said is that she lays out some really, really kind of dark stuff. And I think it's there's a kind of an easy default to feel like you don't have a power in this hierarchy. There's nothing you can do. These systematic processes are so kind of beyond us and powerful. And at the end of the day, if you're speaking out against the military industrial complex, for example, or the Fed, of just the way our money works, it's just these people are so much more powerful. I can't do anything. She goes, you have to remember that hopelessness is the psyop.
Right.
It's like the one thing they can't take away from you is to be optimistic and to think that you can enact some kind of change.
Right.
And this is something that we've been talking about all week.
Had our founding fathers been hopeless, we never would have had the country that we had when they rebelled against England.
We'd all be eating fish and chips with bad teeth and blocking out the sun right now.
She was talking about how much money printing goes on. And we know what they tell us, that Trump printed $5 trillion right before he got out of office. Biden printed, how much did he print? Like,
I think 9
million.
Yeah.
9 trillion. Sorry. $9 million. And then she was talking about the other money printing that was going on that we don't actually know about. We can't know about.
Right.
And I texted Jamie O'Brien about this, and I was like, is there any way for us to actually know how much money they're printing? And he said, there's the stuff that they tell us, and the banks, all of the money printing basically happens with banks when they make loans. He's like, but the other stuff that she was talking about, there's no way to know.
Yeah.
So our money is so fake that we don't even know how much money they're actually printing. And every time they print it, it devalues the money that's in your pocket.
Clarify, they're not printing anything.
Right.
They're just transferring numbers through the Oracle database, like to central banks.
They're creating currency and giving that to the first stop on the list, banks, whoever. And what she was talking about was like crazy. Like they're giving it to these totally clandestine, quasi-governmental organizations so that they can do whatever they want with it. So all of our money is just absolutely fake. It's so worthless that there's nothing to stop them from just completely devaluing it and turning it into worthless paper. The only thing keeping it afloat is the global trade in US dollars. And then I was thinking, like, it's so unconstitutional what they're doing, but everything that they do is totally unconstitutional. Basically the entire government, save like the few core components that were established in the Constitution, are unconstitutional. So our Constitution is fake also. What number on the Bill of Rights have they not completely desecrated? Right?
Ordering troops.
It's always the Third Amendment.
Just saying. Not all is lost.
There is
still hope.
The First Amendment is in the toilet.
Yep.
Trump is trashing it, deporting people for protesting the government, cutting government funding to universities, which I don't think should be getting government funding in the first place. But if you're doing it and you're giving it to some colleges and not to others based on their speech, that's a total violation of the First Amendment. The censoring of TikTok, the censoring of all of the social media sites during the Biden administration. I mean, the First Amendment, it's like, it's a joke. Like
on the First Amendment, did you see recently they figured out that the COVID virus probably came from a lab?
I did.
Isn't that interesting?
Yes.
Who would have? I mean, that's wild.
Yeah.
I guess the
Careful
science,
saying that.
Science got settled on that one.
Second Amendment, shell of itself. Third's okay. Fourth, how about this? ICE can now enter your home without a warrant to look for migrants from a DOJ memo. A new memo from the Trump administration reveals something shocking. ICE agents have been told they can enter homes without a warrant to arrest migrants based on little more than suspicion. The March 14th directive signed by Attorney General Pam Bondi uses an obscure 18th century law, the Alien and Enemies Act of 1798, to give law enforcement nationwide the power to bypass basic constitutional projections. Basically, it says, right here. According to the memo, agents can break into the home if getting a warrant is impracticable and they don't need a judge's approval. Instead, immigration officers can sign their own administrative warrants.
Well, I personally think that if you're not hiding migrants in your house, like, I don't think you have anything to worry about.
Exactly. And so when your conservative friends tell you, like, well, we just need to...
when you cop pulls you over, like, you have anything illegal in here? No. But if I just take a look, I do, actually. That's what that is.
That's what it should be.
Yeah.
All that guy has to do now is just say, well, I think there might be a migrant in your trunk. It's justifiable. I have a warrant here. Let me just fill it out and sign it myself. And so, like, when your conservative friends tell you, like, well, we need to get back to the Constitution. It's like, to quote Lysander Spooner, or paraphrase, either the Constitution allows what we have now, the government that we have now, that completely violates our rights left and right, and if the president, the king, wants to do something, he just declares an emergency, and then he can just do this thing. He can enact the tariffs. He can deport people to these black sites in El Salvador. Either that's allowed under our Constitution, or the Constitution couldn't do anything to stop it. Constitution was a wonderful idea. The Bill of Rights are a really great way to conduct a society, but it has been completely ignored. Like, we are not living under this Constitution. The whole thing, we're told that. The guys in the Congress, the Republicans that carry the little pocket Constitution in their pocket, it's a fucking joke. It's all totally fake. We don't have a ounce of the freedom that was actually laid out in the beginning. It's all the day that the ink dried, it started getting shredded. Because the Constitution is incapable of stopping the government from actually taking this stuff on. And I think that the only real solution, well, it's not a solution, but the only thing that you should be thinking about in terms of our liberty and trying to roll back this horrible system that they've created for us is to do what our founding fathers did and ignore the government that is violating our rights. And that will take a lot of sacrifice and won't be easy, and people will suffer for it. But that's, to me, that's the only way. There is no, the federal debt, $37 trillion, that's never going to get paid off. They're not even trying to. The guy that we elected, this outsider who was supposed to come in and just slash the budget and totally roll back all these programs, he's not doing it. The Department of Education is still there. In fact, I just saw one of his spokesmen talking about a new rule that the Department of Education is no longer going to fund schools. I can't remember, for doing some kind of woke thing.
The DI stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I thought we weren't supposed to have a Department of Education. How about we don't fund any schools ever? Like, what happened to that? None of it's happening. The guy that was supposed to be this like hero to come in and totally slash government and roll everything back hasn't done that. In fact, he's increased the budget, and now he's taking the military budget, the Pentagon's budget, up to $1 trillion, which I don't know what the point of giving the Pentagon a budget anyways. They don't have to account for the money that they spend.
They don't have any books.
Right? Why give them a budget? It's a blank check at this point.
Yeah.
There is no pain you are receiving. A distant ship smoke on the horizon.
So we got a beer sponsor for the show. Much thanks to Barrel House Brewing Company for sending us some beer. And I don't know if it's obvious, but we do drink a lot of beer around here. So this is very much appreciated. Thanks to Dan for sending this out.
We got the mango IPA there. Very nice, very nice. This is my favorite so far, the Sunny Days Blonde.
I'm partial to the ale. What is this? The standard ale.
Too bad they don't make a hazy.
This they do. I drank them all.
Okay.
They were pretty good. The can on the standard ale is excellent.
I like that.
Just very simple.
Where are they based out of?
Standard ale. It's just they're in not Paso Robles. Is it Paso Robles? They're in wait for it. Yeah, Paso Robles. Not to be confused with Paso Robles, Jake.
Standard ale's good.
Yeah, so check them out, and
thank you guys very much.
Yeah, and if there's any other beverage sponsors out there that want to keep us in beer, we would very much appreciate it. So we were just talking.
Just imagine my wife going like, "No more beer sponsors."
We'll get there. We'll get to the point where our wives are tired of the beer flowing in.
Yes.
We're not there yet. So we were talking in the break about the Matt Walsh interview on Tucker. And did you watch the whole thing?
I watched, I think, 3/4 of it.
So they mainly talked about social conservatism the whole time, which is not a topic that I really think much about.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with a lot of things that Matt Walsh says, but just it's not my department.
He's number one. He's hilarious. He has a pretty amazing sense of humor.
Yes.
He's very much as
dry as you can be.
Yeah. Very much a 90s era social conservative, kind of like your standard old school Republican. So yeah, there's a lot of things I kind of differ from him on. He says a lot of stuff that I really like too.
Jake, you were talking about his point that if a country cannot survive without the support of the United States of America or any other country, then it's not a real country.
I think it was more along the lines of then they don't deserve to exist.
Yeah.
Something like that.
He actually said they don't exist. If you are not a country that can stand on your own, then you're not a country. You're a vassal state of another country.
What's the argument against that?
Well, it's like the elephant in the room is Israel. And when Tucker brought up Israel, so let's
or in
say,
a herd during an earthquake.
Right. When, let's just say like a country that's a colony of the United States or of England. If England pulls out and that country fails, it's because that country was not a real country. They were being supported by England. And when Tucker brought up Israel, he said that, I think we should not be giving foreign aid to any country at all, which I totally agree with. And yet Israel is probably capable of standing on their own without aid from the United States.
Right.
And they would probably behave very differently.
Yes.
Also, they would be forced to get along with their neighbors. But this is what he said about the debate with Douglas Murray and Dave Smith, which I thought was pretty interesting because there weren't a ton of takeaways from that debate beyond what everyone was talking about, which was essentially censorship or credentialism, and you should not be allowed to talk if you don't have the credentials to talk, which I read as censorship. But this is what he said, is his response to Tucker asking about the debate.
I don't know. I think that, so Douglas Murray said one thing. He made one point that I thought was really good. It was just a simple one. I like simple points.
Me too.
And at one point he asked Dave, because once they got into arguing about what happened after October 7th, how Israel responded, and Dave has all of his criticisms about what Israel has done. And then Douglas Murray said, well, what would you have them do? Yeah, what would you prefer for them to have done? If they want to rescue the hostages and also destroy Hamas, what do you want them to do instead? And then, from what I remember, Dave, he pointed out that, okay, destroying Hamas and rescuing hostages are not necessarily the same objective. And then they started talking about rescuing hostages. They didn't really circle back to the destroying Hamas part.
I thought it was a great question because it does ask, what is we go on all the time about how Israel shouldn't be killing women and children. And we never actually address, like, what should they do? Have you thought about that?
Yeah.
And what would you?
Quite a bit.
How would I think I know how Dave Smith would answer. How would you?
Well, I think it's a bit more. The problem I have with like a lot of these discussions is the same problem I have with the people who, without question, stand with Ukraine, for example. I'm like, well, you have to. The history of Israel didn't start on October 7th. The history of Palestine or Hamas didn't start on October 7th. Correct. It's like you have to look at this within the context of the timeline of when this conflict started, which goes back to 48 or 700 BC.
Right.
Like, who knows? And so it's always a little frustrating to me that everyone puts it in the context of this whole thing starts on October 7th, which was horrific. It was awful what had happened. I was like, but they didn't just wake up one morning and, hey, we're going to breach the world's most secure border with tractors and hang gliders and, start a wanton massacre of another country. Like, there's a reason that it gets to that. And we tackled this on the last episode. We talked about the insurgent math. If you have 20 insurgents and you kill 18 of them, how many do you have left?
40.
Like 40, right? There's a reason that these people are doing what they're doing, and we need, whether you agree with it or not, you have to address it. Same as going back to Iraq. Like, well, they hate our freedom. Like, no, no.
That is a reason.
That is a reason,
but it doesn't actually make sense given the body of work that these terrorists have put together.
Correct.
Yeah, I think that the answer, like, Israel and Hamas are living in the same country, or Israel and Palestine. They're in this country of Israel. The Palestinians are subjects in this country. And when regardless of what the history was, when they invaded on October 7th, they committed crimes.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Regardless of how justified they felt they were in that and the history, none of us would say that they were justified in murdering all those people.
Right.
Even if it's a false flag. Like, you still don't do that because you're playing right into your enemy's hands when you do, and you give them the excuse to kill you. And it's just morally, reprehensible. The answer of what Israel should do, I think, is that they should have responded to the murderers. But there's a line that I draw when you start killing innocent civilians.
Right.
So what should they do? They should make the people that did the acts pay for it. But you can't do that while also killing innocent women and children. And what a lot of people that are in favor of it's hard not to call it a genocide, but in favor of what Israel is doing to Gaza, they don't have a line that they can point to of how many innocent people it's okay to kill.
What's the acceptable cost?
Right.
Right.
And they would probably never draw that line for you, which makes me think if you can't draw the line, then the line is at the very, very far extreme of the spectrum, which means that you're okay with killing every single person in that place in order to get the people that did that to you.
Right.
So my answer would be, it's not there. I don't think that you can justify killing any innocent people, but you do have to make those people pay by whatever whatever means necessary without killing innocent people. So figure that out. But you're never allowed to just go in there, whether it's, diplomacy or negotiation or commandos that go in and only kill the right people, or I don't know what it is, but you can't justify killing the people that had nothing to do with that attack. But it's a good question because the debate between Douglas Murray and Dave Smith never even approached kind of getting down to those kind of nitty gritty details.
Oh, there was no substance to that debate whatsoever.
It is the gift that keeps on giving, though.
Yeah.
People are still talking about it today. Isn't that fascinating?
Is it still going?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
It's fascinating, though, because it's really like brought this to the front. And I think it's part of the reason why Mike Waltz got kicked out of the Trump administration. You heard about that?
Yes.
What was he, the defense secretary? Or
no, he was the national security advisor.
Okay, right. He got, quote, promoted to ambassador to the UN.
Yeah. That whole thing was hilarious because that all stemmed from Signalgate, which what happened?
Yeah.
They were openly talking about war, an operation going on. Yeah, it's not a war. And they added a reporter from the Atlantic onto the Signal group chat. Mm-hmm. This was like kind of fascinating to me, and this is when I say like there's no right or left. Like it's just pro wrestling at this point. It's like because what was the manufactured outrage after that happened?
National security is in jeopardy.
National security was in jeopardy. These people are so incompetent. They accidentally added a reporter, to highly classified information, and it's while people, myself, yourself, probably you, Jake, are like on the sidelines going like, so the outrage is that you accidentally added a reporter to your Signal group text.
Yeah,
that's what we're supposed to be upset about.
Right.
Not that you just killed hundreds of innocent women and children. No one's okay.
In a country that never attacked us.
Yeah, the poorest country in the region that we've been bombing since 2009, Obama, with your Nobel Peace Prize. But what we're supposed to be outraged about is that, like, is Trump just a buffoon? Or is he playing 4D chess? They added the reporter, like, on purpose? Like, is he 4 steps ahead of us? I'm like, no, it just seems like the outrage should be about these hundreds of dead women and children that you guys just indiscriminately bombed.
I think that that debate, the reason why it's still going is that it did that. That's where it put the focus. It's like all of a sudden, whether war is moral or not, these wars that we're fighting in particular are moral or not became the question. And it was a question that Douglas Murray didn't want to address.
Yeah.
But it's Dave Smith's whole thing. It's something that we're passionate about. And it's like, it just keeps going and going and going because finally people are actually talking about what is the actual problem. The problem is that we're killing a bunch of innocent people. And thanks to TikTok and the alt media, like this is actually coming out. And they're doing everything they can to make it seem like these people should not even be allowed to talk about it. Not only are they wrong, we won't tell you why, but they just shouldn't be talking about it. Mm-hmm. We won't address their issues, but we need to silence them and shut these people up because we shouldn't be talking about it. And that was Douglas Murray fucking shot himself in the foot because had he just debated the facts, this wouldn't be going on. But what he did was he debated the First Amendment. He debated the ability, the whether or not people like Dave Smith should even be allowed to talk about it, which got everyone going like, well, of course we have to, and we have to have this conversation.
And we were talking about this earlier this week is that when you are discussing whatever subject and you bring up something and people's inclination is not to argue that point, but to go like that, how dare you even ask that question? Mm-hmm. It's the skeptic brain goes like, well, I'm definitely researching the shit out of this now.
Clearly over the target.
Yes.
Yeah. So that continues to be the gift that keeps on giving.
So we talked about the World Economic Forum and its new interim leader or president, CEO of the World Economic Forum. Have you looked into this guy at all?
No.
Peter
a little bit.
Brabeck Letmath. something like that. Swiss dude. You looked into him, Jake?
Yeah, I know that he comes from Nestle.
Yeah.
Oh, right. The Nestle guy.
Yeah. Have you guys ever done we were talking earlier this week. I was like, it's kind of wild that I don't think we brought it up, but you look into any like multinational corporation and it's like they're responsible for the most evil shit you can possibly think of.
Right.
No one's ever punished for it. They're rarely fined, or they're fined to an extent. So you have like the Sackler family with the opiate epidemic that just killed probably like over 1 million people. And they build into their model like, well, we got fined, I think $6 billion. They're like, yeah, but we made 40 billion. Like,
right.
Who gives a shit? And, or I don't know, did we talk about Bayer?
Yes, we have.
Yeah, I talked about Bayer and, basically they, built the Zyklon Z or Zyklon B or whatever it was. And they just built their factory next to the concentration camps. They're like, well, this way, people don't have to commute. They can go there and build the gas that's eventually going to kill them. And then that was IG Farben at the time that becomes Bayer. And that's why I don't take aspirin, by the way.
Smart.
So I was looking up, we know that this guy used to be the CEO of Nestle. And I was like looking up the, just the various kind of things that Nestle was involved in.
Does Nestle make a single product that you would...
Nestle is essentially an umbrella corporation that owns all these other corporations. Because if you ask your average, if you ask the guy standing on the corner feebly holding a sign, I'm like, Nestle, what comes to mind? What's he going to say?
Chocolate.
Yeah. That's a very, very small part of what they do.
And terrible chocolate.
Yeah, not even good. You know what their main thing is?
I'm going to guess...
I know.
You know? All right, let me guess before you say. I'm going to guess bombs.
No, it's water.
Water.
Bottled water.
Bottled water. Which, if you got to think about, okay, we'll get here in a second. So the first thing that the first scandal that goes all the way back to 1867, and they started making, they started the propaganda campaign. This is going all the way back to 1867, that baby formula was better than actual breast milk.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so they started going into less developed countries. They were going into Africa. They took their employees and dressed them up as nurses and flew them to Africa.
Oh, my God.
To go around Africa, like, you should not be drinking the breast milk. Like, you should give your kids this baby formula. And they convinced them to buy the baby formula and convinced them that the breast milk was unhealthy for them.
God, they own a lot of brands.
You know who else? Actually, it just went bankrupt. But Bill Gates was doing a synthetic breast milk company. It just went bankrupt. Which is all this stuff. Like, view it through this lens. This is what I think about. Is we have all of these things that God gives us: water, air, meat, breast milk, all these things that, like, it's there for us,
right?
And they've been through these
hunter-gatherer
governments
societies
and multinational corporations and NGOs. They figure out two things: like, let's get them to use something else, or let's get in the middle of this somehow so we can make some money doing this. And like the last one on the table is air, which I don't know if you've seen Spaceballs.
Yep, it's coming.
Even the fucking sun. If you go to the UK is like currently trying to dim the sun. But you look at
the list of products. Sorry to interrupt you, but I'm going through these products here. It is the worst shit. Like, I would never eat any of this stuff. Purina dog food,
Alpo, Carnation.
Yeah, Carnation, the
Purina cat chow,
breakfast stuff,
Cheerios, poison.
Yep,
Coffee Mate, poison.
Coffee Mate. Who puts Coffee Mate in their coffee? Like, if you do,
profoundly sick people.
Cornflakes, dog chow. It's just insane. It's all just like the worst stuff in the world. Yeah, everything from Gerber.
Baby food.
Haagen-Dazs.
Haagen-Dazs, not a bad ice cream.
Kit Kat, don't eat it.
Don't eat it. Lean cuisine.
Perrier.
Remember the war on fat in the 90s? Everyone was eating lean cuisines.
Wasn't it the only weight loss program that ever actually had a track record for getting people to lose weight and keep it
Weight
off?
Watchers, maybe, right?
It was Weight Watchers. Yes. Right. God.
More Purina, all kinds of stuff.
They own all of the worst possible things that you could put in your body or your pet's body.
Yeah. So because of the baby formula scandal, like they went into Africa, convinced people that breast milk was not good for your kid, that you should buy this instead. And do you want to guess what the result was?
Retardation.
Millions of children died.
That's worse.
So yes. So we're off to a bad start with Nestle so far. Then
that's worse unless you're a Nazi.
They've been
then you prefer death.
Then they've been implicated in child slave labor, various lawsuits, but all is not bad. So this is going back. This goes back years, but they're talking about like the cocoa farms and their supply chains. This is like all the way down the Ivory Coast, Africa, and then into South America. They finally get busted to it, and they promise they're going to phase out child labor by 2025.
Year of the Deagle.
Yes.
Any updates on Year of the Deagle? Like we're almost halfway through.
Let's see. We got plenty of time. I got my fingers crossed.
I got my eye on a sweet piece of property that someone else owns.
This is my favorite one because, and this we'll get into what you want to talk about. Is despite the crippling droughts and wildfires that annually ravage California, Nestle's CEO proudly continues.
Wait, go back. Say that again.
Despite the crippling droughts and wildfires that annually ravage California. Nestle CEO proudly continues to exploit the state's water resources. So think about this for a second. They don't only take water out. They've been doing this in South America and Africa. They really went big in South America decades ago, which we talked about this earlier. Like this is kind of a genius business model because where does water come from?
God.
Right. Sky, God. And they went into South America and said, like, it's illegal to collect your own rainwater. This is going back all the way to the 80s. Now they're doing that in certain states in California. They're saying like rainwater.
In America. Yeah.
In America.
I believe it's illegal in parts of Oregon and Washington.
Yeah. You're not allowed.
The places that get the most rain in the whole
water
country.
Coming from the sky, you're not allowed to catch that in a barrel and use it for yourself. Because according to this guy, the new president of the World Economic Forum, Nestle owns that water. And this is how he made all of his money. And he's saying...
Does he have an American accent?
No. Which if you listen to him talk, it's like right on brand. Because what we used to say about Klaus Schwab, like
Jake, you got any clips of this guy talking? I want to hear his accent.
Yeah,
and preferably one where he's wearing like a leather kind of like
Darth Vader suit. Yeah. It's like, do you guys have to pick a Bond villain every time for this position? And so it goes up in layers, but it begins like this: is like that water falling from the sky from God it's for us as human beings, right? To sustain ourselves.
Clearly.
You no longer own that. This guy owns it, him and his corporation. Now we are going to bottle that and sell it back to you. And they do this willingly because through the propaganda. Remember like when we were little kids, like bottled water wasn't a thing. Like,
it was starting to become a thing.
Kind of, but in the 90s, it was like there's bottled water everywhere. Now think about this as a business model. You have the water; it's free. I'm gonna insert myself in between that process. I'm gonna take the water. I'm gonna sell it back to you in a plastic bottle,
and I'm gonna make it illegal for you to collect your own water.
Yes, I'm gonna sell that to you in a plastic bottle for $3 or $4, and I have you convinced that this is actually the water that you want because it came from a glacier. Purani, I think, is one of the other brands that they own. And as an extra fuck you to humanity, What happens to that plastic bottle?
It gets thrown in the ocean.
It ends up in the ocean. Jake, what's the size of that plastic bottle island? Like it's like the size of Texas. I think it's just swirling around. Like in the middle.
It's Texas sized.
Texas sized.
Did you know? Maybe you're leading up to this, but Nestle's involvement with Michigan.
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead. What do you know?
Well, just Michigan is where the famous Flint, Michigan.
Yeah.
That it's one of the places where they have trouble with their tap water, or their infrastructure isn't great, or the laws surrounding
parts of Michigan still do not have drinkable water coming out of their taps.
Yeah. So apparently Nestle has set up shop in Michigan and is, worked out some deals with the city supervisors and the people involved in the utility commission to where they can just set up a water factory essentially and start taking all of the that's where they're getting their water basically. Let's see what this guy sounds like.
Like they can get
World Economic Forum is help to improve the state of the world. I think in this respect, this claim, the World Economic Forum has been living up to it.
So they can go to Flint, Michigan and get perfectly good drinking water, but the people that live there can't have it.
You can if you buy it in a bottle from Nestle.
Right. They are able to go there, set up shop, and figure out how to get clean water. But the government, whose existence is only supposed to be there for the benefit of the people, is not able to actually get people clean drinking water. And they probably prevent people from digging their own wells. I'm sure it's illegal to dig your own well in Flint, Michigan.
Yeah. So but
this guy can go and dig a well and then sell people the water.
Right.
Because he's Nestle. I mean, why is just
here's the no, it gets even worse. Here's the several levels of like, fuck you. Right. This is going on all over the world. And this guy made millions and millions and millions of dollars. And we're going to end at where he's at now.
Here's the clip you want, by the way.
Okay.
You want it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
They are saying water is a human right. Therefore, it's not a commercial material. My answer to this is yes, you're right. Water is a human right. The 25 liters of water that we need as a minimum as a person in order to live decently, which is my 4 to 5 liters of liquid, which I have to take to me, which is about the 4 or 5 liters for the cleaning. It's about the 4 or 5 liters that we need in order to clean the dishes. Yes, this is a human right. But I don't think it's a human right to fill up my swimming pool, to wash my cars, to water the golf course, or even to water the garden. I don't think this is a human right.
You can see
so
where
there's a limit. There's 25 liters, obviously.
Is a human right.
It's in the 10 Commandments, actually, that you have the right to water, but only up to 25 liters. After that, everything that falls on your ground from God, from the sky, no longer belongs to you, it belongs to Nestle.
That's the exact clip I was looking for too, Jake. Thank you.
It was cool how you just like channeled his accent. You said clip.
So think about it like this. You get water from God, comes from the sky, and that's what you can drink. You can bathe yourself. You can fish, and whatever it is, right? We have to have water to survive. And
do whatever the fuck you want with it.
Multinational corporation comes and goes like, no, we own that water now. I was like, well, I have to have water. I was like, well, we'll sell it back to you. How? In a plastic bottle. Where does that plastic bottle go? In the ocean. Here's another little fuck you. That plastic will never biodegrade. It'll just simply float in the ocean. It will, however, off gas and put microplastics into the ocean and our rivers
and into the water that you drink.
And people go like, well, no, we recycle our plastic bottles. What do we know about that? Was it like 4% of recycled content?
Again, Michael Moore, one of the first people to point out how the shit that you think you're recycling is not getting recycled. It's like 7% of what you put into your blue recycle bin actually gets recycled.
Right. Next level.
The only reason that I put stuff in my recycle bin is
your trash can is full.
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
Or like I've gotten letters from the garbage company before saying that you can't use the garbage bag because, you line your trash can with a garbage bag and you throw your recycling in there.
Yeah.
You're supposed to dump that out into the trash can and then put that garbage bag into the garbage. Right. And so they'll send us letters. Like, if you don't stop doing that, we're going to stop picking up your recycling.
What's your garbage bag made out of?
Plastic. Supposed to be recyclable. Meanwhile, all the shit that was in the garbage bag is not recyclable. Nothing is fucking recyclable. The only things that are recyclable are pure metal or just like pure plastic. But even a plastic bottle that has that little ring on the top that like you have to snap when you open it, like that makes that bottle unrecyclable because it's two different types of plastic.
Yeah.
Nothing's fucking recyclable.
Yeah.
Okay, 7% of things are recyclable. And we get carried away.
Human beings are.
How so?
They go back to the earth. Their soul goes to heaven.
I don't think that's called recycling.
About reincarnation?
Recycling would be...
I'm talking about reincarnation. Are we not talking about reincarnation right now?
That would only be true if you came back into the same body.
So...
like Jesus did.
Right. So all that plastic goes in the ocean, off gases. Now we got microplastics everywhere. And now, as another layer of like, fuck you, human beings, they went like companies like Nestle, and they do this all over the world, is in Pakistan, all through South America, all through Africa, let's just take California. We just had like pretty horrific wildfires. Now, a lot of that water that fills their reservoirs comes from San Bernardino County, from the mountains up there. They took all of that water. They're pumping out like millions and millions of gallons of water from the natural streams in San Bernardino National Forest and putting it in bottles and selling it back to you. Now, that whole place became a drought and they didn't have water for the wildfires in...
this year. Yeah.
Yeah.
This year.
And a company like Nestle, do you know what they pay to take that water out of San Bernardino National Forest?
They must pay a ton.
Well, they have a contract with California.
Really?
Per year.
Must be very lucrative for the state of California.
Well, I mean, money is relative, but they pay $524 a year for that contract.
Really?
To take the money, to take the water out of those springs and sell it back.
Dude, I would give them $600.
I know, we're clearly in the wrong business. Next level of fuck you is that now this guy's job is to tell us that water is not a human right because we have what?
Well, it is, just not after 25 liters.
Right. But we should be limited to 25 liters.
A liter is.
Right, because we're in America, goddammit. It's for give me a goddamn cola for putting my foot up your ass.
For a cop.
Now this guy is telling us that we need to ration water because of what?
Climate change.
Well, we're in droughts because of climate change. So the guy that's taking the water out of all these reservoirs, bottling it and selling it back to you is telling you that we're in a drought because there is no water in the reservoirs because it's been privatized and sold to people for a profit for his company, the CEO of, and now he's in charge of the World Economic Forum going, all over the world, there's these crazy droughts going on while they continually pump all the water out and sell it. It's like the most diabolical, like almost admirable, like business model I've ever heard of.
It's not confined to people's drinking water either. Recently, in the state of Washington, the government of Washington is suing farmers, every farmer in the state, making them, actually no, just in this one basin, which is like half the state, making them prove that they have the water rights that they have been using. So every farmer in this region has to go to court and prove that they have water rights that they've been using for forever. And it's projected to cause a 40% reduction in farming in the state of Washington. Because these farmers have been farming forever, pumping water out of their wells, and now the government is making them bring paperwork to say that they actually do have the rights to do that. And it happened in Idaho, too, where they shut down the water for the potato farmers there.
Yeah, there's a very orchestrated war against farmers all over the country. And I'm hard-pressed to think that It's
dude.
It's not a total coincidence.
In
It's all happening at the same time.
In South Carolina, they just condemned 10,000 acres of farmland because they found, guess what, in the soil. After the farmers used the sludge that the state tried to sell them on as a free fertilizer.
Yeah.
And it contained PUFAs, forever chemicals.
Yeah.
In there. And so 10,000 acres in South Carolina has just been condemned by the state for very, very small levels, like 1 part per billion of these PUFAs. The same PUFAs that you get in your food every time you eat off of a nonstick pan. It's such an emergency that we have to condemn the farmland after these farmers took the sludge that the state told them would be free fertilizer.
Yeah.
And now they're shutting down those farms. And yet it's not an emergency that we have to throw away all of our Teflon pans or all of the other bullshit in our environment that we ingest all the time that has forever chemicals in it. I guarantee this can of beer right now, it's lined with plastic on the inside. I guarantee we're getting forever chemicals, PUFAs, out of these beers that we're drinking right now. Not the Barrel House beers.
Not the Barrel House Mango IPA.
I'm sure that they don't have PUFAs in them. But these other ones, I'm sure do. And it's like, what is really the problem here? Are you really concerned about the forever chemicals? If you were, you'd be like just going through everything in our environment. You'd be going through all these Nestle water bottles that they are selling people that are guaranteed full of PUFAs. But obviously that's not what it is. It's a war on farming. Not to mention, sorry, I know you may have been going here, but the biggest need for water right now in the country, the biggest industry that needs water and doesn't have it is the data processing industry. And that's who's getting eminent domain to suck water out of farmland and into their data processing centers all over the country.
Why do we need those huge data processing centers? Any ideas?
Speaking of AI, it's just a fancy search engine, right?
I've been saying that forever. It's like, what is AI? It's just a very smart computer, right? It's not actually intelligent. It's just a really good computer.
So with the search engine, you sit down, you type in Google, and a little prompt pops up, and you type in motorcycle helmets, or tell me, everything there is to know about, XYZ. And it sends that request out, and all the people that have written expositions about XYZ and, have their own little websites about it, Google gets you a list of them. You get to select which
one that's right for you.
Sure.
Yeah.
AI is basically like, I'm going to read all these for you and glue together a Frankenstein response and just kind of give it to you, and you can get on along with it. Thanks for that.
Based on who you are, based on your previous searches, based on your purchases, AI will tailor that to meet your needs, which is not intelligent. It's just a really, really good computer. It's a really good search engine, like your fancy search engine that thinks it knows what you're looking for based on your previous stuff. That takes a ton of computing power. And those computers get hot. They need to be cooled, and they cool them with water. Mm-hmm. And in order to institute the digital prison that you and I have been going on about forever, they have to have that times 1,000 so that they can actually control us, actually be able to monitor everything that we do. And
eventually ending up in the CBDC.
Right.
Just to go back to Catherine Ross Fitz, she goes, if you only remember one thing about the CBDC, is remember it's not a currency, it's a control grid.
Right.
Which is what it is.
Exactly. It is the Chinese credit score that we're talking about.